Labour Party won the won the presidential election handsomely in Edo State in 2023. Then come 2024, it didn't even put a strong dent on the governorship contest. Performed so poorly as if it never existed.
Is the Nigerian problem. When PDP was in power, at times I look at it and I say, okay, it's a blessing that President Jonathan lost that election. Even though I believe that PDP would have managed this economy better. Because look at the Nigeria under Buhari. Look at the kind of ministers he had. You can't compare them to the ministers under Obasanjo, Yaradua, or Jonathan. So, in saying that, I would say with the problem in Labour Party today is a Nigerian problem. Just like the problem with the country today is a Nigerian problem. When people see the truth, rather than just say it for posterity's sake, they will not. The first time I met Peter Obi in the Labour Party office in Abuja, the national chairman formally introduced him to me, even though I knew him in PDP then. We had met a couple of times in the NEC meeting in Wadata House. And I said, I hope they will be fair in the primaries so that the right person will emerge. And Peter B pointed to the chairman. He laughed and said, look, we have internal democracy here, that the bane of our democracy is internal, what's the word now? That internal democracy, that the big parties don't have internal democracy. That's why they are struggling. But that the Labour Party is something that they hold strongly. And I left there thinking that I have gotten a party where I believe we can give our all. And when I indicated my interest to run for the governorship, I was the most experienced. And that was really acknowledged by the national chairman then. But what played that again was they became very transactional, which is a Nigerian thing. That's the background I was trying to create when I went back to, how successive governments have failed because of the people they have so-called appointed to work with. So they became transactional. The individual that got the ticket eventually was from the same local government, or rather is from the same local government with the then outgoing governor. The same reason we complained or we refused to vote for Atiku. Because my take there was you cannot have a Buhari, a Fulani man, leaving after 8 years, another Fulani man in Atiku will take the ticket. So it will be like back to back 16 years. I said, no, that's not fair. It was exactly the same thing Labour Party did in Edo State. Why did we support Peter Obi in 2023? We said fairness, equity, and justice. Those were the reasons. Peter Obi is the southerner, and they had the northeast had not, southeast had not produced a presidential candidate. So let's support an individual like this for fairness and equity and justice. But it came in the case of the state, Edo State, when the opportunity came for Labour to prove themselves, Labour Party to prove themselves. Again, like I said, they went the other way because of money. And that's why what happened. Clearly, and nothing else.
And so, where is the Labour Party today? It's like the Labour Party is fizzling out.
Well,
because we are hearing that the Labour Party is also engulfed in leadership crisis that got up to the Supreme Court. Now we don't know the interpretations that the different factions of the party are giving to the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Well, again, typically that's a Nigerian problem. How can we have a Supreme Court that will give a judgment and everybody's interpreting it to suit them? If you remember in the days of Jesus Christ, when he goes out with his apostles, he will speak to the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the scribes in parables. When they come inside the house, the apostles will ask him, Why is he will break it down for them, and at times he will tell them it's given to them alone to know. So he speaks in parables so that the so-called, you know, Gentiles or the so-called Pharisees and Sadducees will not understand. That's what the Supreme Court is doing today. How can you give a judgment almost 2 weeks after both sides are claiming victory? It's like putting water in your mouth. Will anybody hear you? And that's what the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, is doing. So by now,
Yeah,
should
but
it not be
it's
clear?
the politicians that are opening the door for the Supreme Court to come in. If the politicians have put their acts together, we won't have the Supreme Court coming after all.
I agree. But now that they have gotten to Supreme Court and Supreme Court has made a decision, should we still be doubting or should we be struggling to understand what the Supreme Court, what judgment they have given? It shouldn't be like that. That for a political party, this issue has lingered for over 2 weeks after a major judgment from the highest court in the land. You still don't know where you stand. Everybody's claiming victory. And the court is keeping quiet. I don't know. So it's the Nigerian problem.
So where are we? What is the way forward? Are you still in the Labour Party?
Yes, matter of fact, I'm running to replace the governor, our governor. You know, he was a senator. His seat has been declared vacant. You know, he resigned December last year. So I am running to replace him in the Senate. I'm still a member of the Labour Party. I had advised that they should come together and, like again, be one of the most experienced in the race right now. So I have advised that the leadership should come together and resolve this, and that maybe they should move the chairman, the national chairman, to the position of the BOT and all that. But I heard the governor of Abia saying that they had actually done that. So my advice is, okay, maybe you did that without Supreme Court backing. I mean, without this judgment from Supreme Court. Now there is a judgment from Supreme Court. Even if he favors the national chairman, you can appeal to him to become the BOT chairman, and some of the members of the NWC, some will remain in the NWC, others can move upstairs, and then let there be peace. But you never know, as you know, if there is when the husband and wife are quarreling, and there is a third party, that matter is hardly ever resolved. So we don't know if the government of the day have their fingers here too. But
So which is the third party in this case?
yeah, maybe the government of the day. Because I don't understand. But why I don't bother about these things too much? There's nothing that's hidden under the sun. At the end of the day, the whole truth will come out. The leadership, look at the parties. If you look at even the APC, the national chairman is above 70. The president is above 70. And talk about all the major players. So if you have to hold the country to the jugular because you want power, is this a country where you want your grandchildren to grow up in? Because if you believe you are good and you are serving the people, should you be bothered about whether other political parties exist? Maybe that's why they say some of us are not politicians. Because the two
But
things are split.
aren't you still on this Labour Party, man? Aren't you worried that your efforts to contest will come to naught if the crisis in the parties still persists? Because whose letter, which letter from which of the factions will INEC accept becomes an important matter.
Well, all that will be clear. But guess what? The governor was sworn in. The governor of Edo State was sworn in. I think this November, is it 12th or so? 11th or 12th was sworn in. And he went to the National Assembly, to the Senate, I think sometime in December, close to a month after, to formally put in his resignation letter. And I think the Senate president declared the seat vacant, I think 2 months ago or so, or last month. I think last month. INEC has not come up with a timetable till now. They say they don't have money for the elections. So this is the point I'm making is INEC will speak. Maybe they also have their lawyers interpreting it. INEC will speak clearly to say this is our understanding of the judgment, so we recognize this group. And my prayer is that everybody will come together. So the idea of who will INEC present, or rather, who will INEC accept their nomination, I don't think that will be a problem. The problem will be what structure will you have on ground to run the election? Because if you have two factions and one faction is accepted, it will be a lot of work to bring the other faction to join the whichever has been accepted by INEC and start working. But we will get there when we get to that bridge.
Aren't you worried that so far in all the off-season elections that have taken place, the opposition parties have not made any impact?
Well, the government of the day uh, have INEC and the security and indeed the central bank in their pockets. And they are using them against the other political parties. I give you an example of the last governorship in Edo State. All the monies that were spent in that election, they used in buying votes on election day, were all brand new notes, mint in the three senatorial. So where do you think that quantity, that quantum of money will come from? Is there any commercial bank that can store that kind of money outside the central bank? They were all brand new notes across the three senatorial. And they were buying votes from between 10,000 naira to 15 to 20. If they come to a place and it's becoming very hot for them, and they have a big leader there who cannot afford to lose that place, they will up the money from 10. They were buying votes for 10 naira per vote. They will up it to 15 to 20. This happened before my eyes.
Well, as an oil magnate, I'm sure you are prepared for such.
Well, I don't even think any election is worth spending too much money on. I had said I'm done with politics. I don't know if you know, I declined to run for a third term in the House because we were against it when we were running in 2015 or 2014. We were against those that wanted to run for third term because we had agreed in my senatorial that we do zoning. So if I fought them, why should I now want to remain? And I also don't know if you know, two of my other colleagues, because we have two House of Reps and a senator in my senatorial. So my other colleague ran or wanted to run but didn't get the ticket. And then the senator got the ticket and ran and lost. I was the only one amongst them that said, I am not running. I don't believe I should run. And for this reason, they told me, okay, come out and run for the governorship. So it was going to be zoned to my place, not just to our senatorial, but to our constituency. That's why I came out to run for the governorship. Even after the governorship, I saw the way things went. I started getting a lot of calls to say, come out and run for the Senate. That the minute you get a ticket from any political party, then you can go home and sleep. So for me, that's a challenge. The people called me. I have obliged them by coming out. So I leave the rest to them. Because politics has not added anything to me, not a kobo to me. If anything, I've spent so much. But I'm also grateful to God that I've been able to do a whole lot for my people. And that's why they keep calling me. So if I don't come out today, 10 years down the road, if Jesus tarries, can I be complaining about nothing has been done? To be a case of, we told you to come out and leave the rest to us, but you didn't have the courage to come out. So I would come out. Whatever needs to be done, I will do. I have billboards. I'm even I'm renewing the rent now because I was thinking 3 months from January, there will be election. So I'm renewing the rent on those billboards that are standing right now. So I'm already spending, but to say I will spend a whole lot of money for it is not worth it because we are going to be spending less than 2 years right now. If election is conducted in the next 2-3 months, they're going to be spending less than 2 years. And I heard some of the political parties have a budget of about 1 billion. For what? And I'm not one to make money back for money spent. All the money I spent running my elections, I didn't work them back. How do you work it back?
Well,
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Exactly.
As we round up, I want to ask you, how do you foresee 2027?
I don't know. It's difficult to see that, but I know, I trust that God will reveal himself. I know most times people say, don't bring God into this matter. I can't see anything, and I'm not sure of anything. But if you remember the five leprous fingers, can you remember that in the days of Abacha? All the five
Yes.
political parties endorsed Abacha. All that was left for Abacha to do was to take off his khaki and transmute into a civilian president. That was all that was left. But God had other ideas. So if anybody thinks they have conquered everybody and we'll just go the other day and write the result or announce the result, there's a God in heaven that's watching over us. If he says they should continue, I wish them well. But if he says that's not his will, I'm sure they won't even get there.
Well, thank you very much. The last few minutes we've been speaking with Right Honorable Sergius Ogun, a senatorial candidate in the seat that was declared vacant in Edo State as a result of the elevation of the governor or election of the senator to the governorship office in the state. Thank you, Honorable, for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.